Okay, so I'm kind of holding my camera in my hand, but so I've had my ZX6R for a full season now, I guess from April until we're now in November. And these are the things that I like about it and I don't like about it. But I'm gonna start off with the likes first and then move on to the dislikes after. Perfect. But let me guys put you on a tripod so it's more straight. Hopefully it's good. So if we're gonna jump into the concept of my likes, like the very first like, it's going to be the TFT. Had to power on there. TFT is the first thing I'm gonna say because I wanted something a bit more modern, and and a lot of the other bikes just didn't have it, like the Gixxer 750, but they're just outdated in the aspect of what I want to look at while I'm riding. So having this TFT has been like the best thing. Gas, gear, RPMs, everything's there for me to see, and it's easy for me to read as well. So I'll zoom back out. So that's kind of the first thing that I really enjoy, or is what made me kind of really want this specific bike and what I liked about it. Now, next up would have to be the ability to have the quick shifter on the bike. You can't really see it, but I'll pan it down. So the quick shifter. At first, I didn't really care that much for quick shifter, but having one on the bike makes changing gears just a little bit more enjoyable. There's a pro and a con for the quick shifter, I think, on this. And maybe it's rider error or bike error, but the pro is switching gears is more enjoyable on the bike. Just it's a flick up as long as you're on the throttle. I understand you can still quick shift per se if you don't have an actual quick shifter by applying pressure to the gear and then letting off the throttle a bit and applying a little bit more and it jumps in. Yes, but just being on the throttle and through the gears is probably the best feeling ever. So that's on my list for things I do like. I'm getting really low because the bike's down here and I want to point out all the things that I want to talk about, but it's the platform itself. So with the 2024, a lot of the bodywork and platform is the same as last gen. So the 2023, 2022, 2019, so on and so forth. So I was able to still find exhaust for this bike that might not have been listed on websites. So I have the Aero Pro Race, and on the website it says it's only for up to 2021, but the slip-on link pipe fits perfectly fine for this bike, which I was super ecstatic about. So I didn't have to wait months or a year to get something that I actually enjoyed. So that was a plus. But once again, with every plus, there's a con for this, and I'm gonna touch on that as well. Now, hopefully I'm not too dark, but this is a very small one that I actually really did like. It was the redesign of the windscreen. So with the new windscreen, you get these little cutouts here, allows better airflow, kind of slides through. But I'm gonna touch on the con for it now. With the stock windscreen that comes with it, it just felt like the wind was being cut to a point where it was always hitting me in the neck, which is why I went for a Corsa style windscreen. This one is from Power Bronze. It's listed in like all the customizations I've done from my bike. But this one, really nice, kind of like a double bubble, but it's a Corsa style. Sends the air right over my helmet, but I still keep my cutouts, which I thought was an absolutely amazing design addition for this bike. And hopefully they don't get rid of it anytime soon. Now, this one is personal preference, but I really did love the colorway for this year. I've never been a big fan of the regular KRT edition. So to see them come out with something more retro style, lively in color, I was a big fanatic. I was a big fanatic about it. So I'm really happy with the color scheme that they had this year as well. Now this is one where if you haven't had to take your bike apart yet, you won't know just yet, but the fairing deassembly and assembly, or kind of re-putting it all back together, is a lot easier on this bike compared to the previous gens. A lot of the pieces come off in holes. So when you look at the fairing from the side of the motorcycle, it's 1, 2, 3 pieces on the side. So if you really need to take something off, 1, 2, 3, boom, and you're done. And I've had to do that because I did crack the fairings and I had to kind of replace them. It hurt the bank, but such is life. It's part of the bike life there as well. Now, Something else that I really enjoy, kind of going back to the TFT, is, well, I guess the bike in itself, is the rider mode selections. So you do have a large variety, or not a large variety, but you do have the ability to have different riding modes: rain, road, and sport. But for myself, I usually just keep it in my custom rider preset, which allows me to turn off traction control, ABS, all of those, and it's just full power to the bike. Muy bien. And lastly, it's a small one, but it is the levers. So for this specific bike, it came with stock levers being black, which I really had no desire to change them. On any other motorcycle I've had, they came stock as silver, and I was like, I can't do the silver. But the black ones are perfectly fine, and equipped with a quick shifter, I don't see the need to get shorty levers at all. Feels a bit more comfortable as well when I'm doing wheelies, even with the long levers, so I'm not too pressured or hard pressed to go ahead and change them for whatever reason. So for now, still good. Probably down the road, I'll either get some ASV levers and call it a day, but I have no true desire. And this bike comes with a toolkit. That was actually quite a pleasure to have a toolkit in the back. But let's go into the things I haven't or I don't like about this bike. Now, the first thing that I personally don't like about this bike that might not really be that much of a bother to everyone else is last gen of the ZX, or the gen before this one on the ZX6, the tail or the rear of the bike was less slanted. So when applying your license plate as so, it was more parallel to the ground, making it less visible to be seen. But now, get that back on there. It appears that the tail is more raised, so no matter where you really place it on the bottom of the bike, it's still visible. There's probably an adjustment where I can get something that pushes it down and allows it to be more flat, but I just like my Velcro setup, so I'm complaining about something that I could change, but I'm just not a fan of it, but that's fine. So going back to the topic of the exhaust, something I'm never really going to enjoy about the ZX6R is the fact that it's the can, the mid pipe, or the bread box that's generally there, followed by the cat that's attached to the headers. I don't know why. Just make it so the cat can be removed. I don't know whether it had to be two, the bread box and the cat, or the boom box, whatever you guys want to call it, but just make it one so I could just simply take it out and call it a day. But that is my one gripe, that for the exhaust, you have to do so many components to get it to where you want it to be. So you have to get headers or swap your headers out, even though you swapped out your link pipe and the actual can. But, you know, small prices you have to pay for enjoying something, such as your motorcycle. And lastly, I think everyone's major gripe with the new gens of anything really is the Euro 5 emissions compliance. So with this bike, you are never going to get full throttle, open throttle, when you're riding, because it's tuned that way. So you do have to get it tuned to basically open up the full throttle, so you have 100% from down low up to the top. Now, talking to my buddy last night, and it realized that even if you tune this bad boy, your max speed is still kind of cut short. Truthfully, I don't see the point sometimes of going past 255 kilometers. Sorry, I'm Canadian. 255 kilometers, but I would like the ability to do so. Did a little research, realized that if you do want to kind of go past that, you got to change the gearing ratio, gearing setup. You got to change the gearing setup to basically give you more to pull past. Now, if I am incorrect in that aspect, that you can just flash or tune it and flash it, dyno it, and get a higher top speed, let me know. Let me know what needs to be done so I can, you know, make this what it can be or what it should be. Oh, we're going back to it. The last thing is the quick shifter. So yes, the quick shifter is great because you can, you know, switch to your gears very quickly, but some days it's smooth, some days it's not. I know going from first to second is a very tricky scenario. Sometimes it clunks. Some days I'm going third to fourth and it clunks, and then other days it's like going through it like butter. But like I said, I don't know if it's a rider error or it's just the bike, and once it gets tuned, it works out all those kinks. So if anybody knows, please let me know so I can dial that in for myself. But other than that, I'm super happy with this. Got another 2 to 3 years of it, then I'm gonna probably purchase another bike, either a super sport or a liter bike, maybe even a cruiser. But I am gonna get a dirt bike, but that's not the point right now. But I do love this. Couple very minor things that I'm like, it could be better, but nothing in life is perfect. But like I always say, peace and have a good day. Or just peace.